Okay, again, we're at November 14, 2024, regular board meeting agenda. As I went around the dais, see everybody knows who everybody is, I hope. Again, the meeting's at 8085 West, 3500 South, General Office Building. I would like to call this meeting to order. Will you guys all stand with me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Does anybody have a public comment they want to address the board today? Okay, see none. Nobody here has a conflict of interest in need of the disclosed of the board agenda. See none. Okay, let's move on to item F.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a proposal to approve the common consent items. So the minutes of the regular board meeting held on October 10th, 2024, and expenses for the September 30th to November 3rd, 2024, general expenses, $1,349,912.02, and the Zions Bank bond payment for $343,324.25.
I second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hey, we know we're doing it right.
What's the matter?
He said, he goes, he's filling in for Danny. He said aye. Okay, let's do Clint, let's go on to item G if you're gonna take this one.
Yeah, Andrew and the team wanted to bring forward some of our recent certifications. So I'll turn the time over.
Yeah, so as you can see, Mark Manzanares completed his wastewater collections grade 1. Justin Long completed his wastewater treatment grade 4. Travis Rawson completed water distribution grade 4. Gavin Henshaw completed water distribution grade 1. Jaden Shepard completed wastewater collections grade 1. And Matt LeCheminon completed water distribution grade 2. I think this is a testament to how dedicated our employees are to improving themselves, as well as our managers and leads on making sure that our employees are trained and up to date on how to operate the systems. I think what you'll see here in the future is you'll continue to see our employees excel in doing these certifications. So,
Awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
Congratulations to all of them. Okay, let's move on to department report. Clint, I'm gonna let the general managers report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For staffing, just wanted to highlight a couple things that have happened since our last meeting. Travis Rawson was awarded the position on the meter crew, so he'll be making that transition next Monday. He might have to jump back and forth just a little bit until we're fully staffed. So that leaves a position on the construction crew that has been posted in-house, no applicants. That
Closes today.
closed today. We also had another employee, one of our newer employees, younger employees, put in his resignation. He is gonna change career paths, decided this wasn't for him. So we'll have another open position on the construction crew that's been posted. That's not on this, but I wanted to make the board aware. And then our gentleman from our wastewater collections crew, Matt Hunter, was the successful candidate for the interim district inspector position. We're all excited for Matt to take on this role. He'll be moving from the collections crew next Monday as well. And so we have that position on the collections crew that'll close tomorrow.
today.
Or that's today as well. So,
And no takers so far?
No, not as of right now,
Well,
till 5 p.m.
wanted to highlight that to the board and always looking for referrals, so we appreciate anybody that, in the community that you know that is looking for a good job. We appreciate sending their resumes over or telling them to get something into us, so. On the operations side, want to highlight water operations, the 8400 west, 4100 south valve locating that we did was unsuccessful in its original goal. We were not able to find that valve after quite a bit of digging. But, however, we did find it solved the problem because we were able to find another valve that had been marked as a valve crossing the street to Little Valley.
Yes, to Little Valley on.
It's actually an inline valve.
West side, yeah, and it turned out to be an inline, so.
That one was closed.
So it gave us circulation in that area because we was only feeding one way. So now with that valve open, that's going from 4100 to the, from the south going to the north is open now. So now we're feeding from 4100 down 8400. So that was a.
So we're still gonna have to do the hot tap.
Yeah, we still have to have a hot tap put in it still.
So Raymond will talk about that on, there's an item for discussion on the solution. The other thing I'll just highlight, the EDR stacks have been delivered, and the EDR training's been completed by Viola. I think that was pretty successful training that had a lot of positive feedback from the staff that attended the training. And then they finished up the UCMR 5 sampling, which is the unregulated contaminant rule. So they're checking for things that could potentially be regulated in the future, to see if anything needs to be on our radar.
So we give them our analysis of the sample, then now they can make a standard that will be above that, so we're.
Potentially, they use this as surveillance. I think of it as surveillance. How big of problems do we maybe have?
Yeah, and they're already.
Because as you know, any regulation comes with substantial cost potentially for those districts, so they have to weigh out cost benefit, and I think this helps them determine how big of a potential problem.
Did we see anything that bring any concern?
No, there's nothing that, no concern of anything that was seen in all the samples, and they are gonna have a UCMR 6 now too.
We do have a former Division of Drinking Water Director that could probably give us their take on why we do it, if you wouldn't mind.
Not at all. The unregulated contaminant rules are EPA's tool for finding occurrence of contaminants that they've already identified as potential. UCMR 5 was unique in that they put a whole suite of PFAS samples in that requirement, and they went ahead and regulated it before the UCMR 5 was done. So the samples that you've just taken with UCMR 5 will count as the baseline samples for the new PFAS rule. If you didn't get any detects with that, you'll be set. It means that you won't have to sample in the next 3 years, and they've given a really short time frame on that. If you did happen to find PFAS and you delayed that sampling or you weren't part of UCMR 5, you don't have a year to either abandon that source or treat for it. But if you guys haven't seen any hits on your PFAS, you should be fine with that.
Yeah, thanks. I forgot about that component. That is unique this year. Good to know.
Thank you, Marie.
As far as wastewater, just wanted to highlight they successfully passed their fourth quarter biomonitoring. Obviously, that test is pretty straightforward. You have to be able to keep the fish alive in your wastewater effluent, and they have to also be able to reproduce. So there's really no way around that one. That's a pretty solid test for telling you what's in that
Is it basically they're looking for nitrogen?
ammonia, right?
Yeah, just all toxicities
Anything that could be
How
toxic
often do we do that test?
quarterly.
quarterly,
Every quarter, okay.
quarterly per compliance site, so.
That always is one that, for me, it's like, okay, we're doing good. You just can't get around it. If you can't keep the fish alive, you know something's wrong in the plant, so. The office, there's been quite a bit of work going on around the office with the caulking and resealing of the windows and the concrete. We feel like this is a really thorough job and should take care of a lot of the issues that we've had.
Is
with
that
this.
something they missed when they constructed?
I
Or is
think
it
that-
something over time?
I think it's probably a combination.
Yeah, I'd say a combination of both.
A lot of this stuff is not necessarily visible to the naked eye until you get up on a ladder and get up and you're looking right at it. So I think we'll be pleased with the results of that after we finish that up.
We don't feel like we're outside being rained in.
And we'll cut down on the bugs.
Yeah, like you say, we had that rainstorm, which identified a lot of the problems that we had in coming to the seals, so which was a plus that we're taking care of them now.
Good.
And then I'll just highlight that the front office team, Leisle and her staff attended the Cassell Conference training last month downtown. I think that's very beneficial for the team. They always come back and highlight what they found was most helpful, and Leisle might be
Yeah,
able to share a
definitely.
couple of things.
They always go over the new updates and items that could make your job quicker, easier. I think each one of our employees learned a great deal being new to the company, so it benefited us. We did struggle with trying to get everybody back and forth. We might try a different approach in the future, but it is a beneficial conference. In fact, there's a portion that we'd like to bring back to the board to maybe start using in our processes.
one of the modules?
The modules, yeah, so, but it's very beneficial. I'm
And
glad
how
they were
is-
able to go.
And how is your office staff with all your new people? Been good?
Yes, I think they're learning, they're quick learners. We've been able to push, in fact, more, different duties that weren't at those positions when they started,
Okay,
so
awesome.
Oh, good.
they seem to be doing.
We like that.
Their capacity
Yeah, is,
increased for what they can do.
Okay. Just keep that morale going.
yeah, definitely.
And then finally, I'll just wrap up here with, we attended the UASD conference, which is helpful. Steve joined us. I think that's beneficial for the management team to see what the board training is, to see what the board has to be aware of and consider. And it's our job as the management team to help the board execute and understand, make sure that we're in compliance with that as well. So the thing that stood out to me the most was that training, it's always the safety training where the guy shares the videos of all the accidents, anything that can go wrong. I think it hit me that people drive differently nowadays, and traffic control in and of itself is probably not adequate. He felt really strongly that you need barriers in all situations where you're in the road, whether that's your vehicle, truck with a flashing light, or our Vector truck. But there are situations where we're doing a small job where they might not feel the need to do that, or there might be an open hole. There's situations where we might benefit from getting some of those portable barriers.
Yep,
The orange
absolutely.
ones.
Those ones that you can fill with water.
Right.
And just make it a policy change that, hey, whenever you're in the right away, traffic control alone is not enough. We want a barrier between.
It's good protection for the men.
For that and our people. That really stuck with me because it is different. I mean, he showed video of people just driving into the open holes and they're just on their phone.
Yeah.
The guy's waving and he has to dive out of the way at the last minute. It's a different world. So,
Crazy.
And to add to that, I've had situations where even if you mark it properly, people still go in, and then oftentimes, it just depends on where
they
you're
can
at.
still sue you.
Well,
you know,
they
potentially.
will, if you're a government entity, you can expect a lawsuit because there's an industry in which they will try to get nuisance value settlements. And we've dealt with that too in different contexts.
So it's something we should think about going forward, I think, is.
Yep, agree.
So did we put some in the budget? Oh,
Yes.
We should go out and see what it costs us to do that, because it'd probably be a great idea.
Steve and I will be looking into them here
Okay.
this week and come up with a plan to show you what we can do.
I've got some that were left over we don't use, but I don't know if they fill with water or sand. I can't remember.
I guess we could look at it either, whatever would be most convenient.
And most convenient, like I say, with water, probably be easier where you can haul them there and then
Yeah.
fill them up with water and then just dump the water when you're done.
Yeah. Yeah, because you just dump it on the ground. So.
Yeah.
But that's my report unless the
Okay,
board has any questions.
thank you, Clint. So moving on, let's go to our engineering. Trevor?
Okay, thanks, Chair and Board. Well, just some things to kind of highlight real quick. The water line project, successful, completed. The reuse project is continuing to move forward. They've got pavement out there, working on landscaping, painting interior of the pipe systems, the floor. All those things should be wrapping up.
Are you on schedule, what you expected last month when you reported?
Yeah, I think, so final completion is pushed a little bit, about I don't know, is it a month? But their substantial completion was on point. It's more of these kind of final things like landscaping, make sure all the little touch-ups are done and that. But it's gone well. For the influent pump station, that one's starting to get moving a little bit more. Still just a lot of submittals, RFIs, back and forth. But they have started to break ground and grub the two sites, Grip Building and just recently the pump station as well. So we'll start to see some actual groundwork out there and equipment. Let's see, Haynes 8 and 7 are still in, 8's still in the EPA's review phase. 7, we're working on that chemical treatment specification and plan. And then we'll talk about this one a little bit later, but the West Side Collection Phase 1, we had a successful bidding. Of that one.
How far are we on the grant for the number 8?
So we've submitted to them all of the initial, basically paperwork, our work plan,
in
our
their
cost
report.
estimate, our plans, our specifications, and they're reviewing it.
Okay.
But each one of those documents, they basically put a month, time frame on each one of those, and they're not always in sequence.
Do you expect they'll have that approved before the end of the year?
I hope we get comment back this month.
Oh, wow.
Based on when we submitted them. And if the comments aren't very substantial, then yeah, I hope that we kind of have that wrapped up by the year end or first part of next year. So that we can, get a bid out and get moving. Change House, we had planned on bringing that analysis to this board meeting, but we had a really good meeting with Bowen and Collins, reviewing the alternatives, recommendations, and we've made some recommendations for, a few changes to that, and that kind of pushed it past the deadline to get it into this packet. But we will definitely have that for December to go through. And that will give us good direction of how to proceed into next year. And then the lobby office, I've got pricing on a table and the chairs, we're gonna maintain this kind of wood color grain, 8 chairs.
And
And
these
then-
chairs, right?
And these same chairs, that's correct. So we'll be able to move forward on that. They're finalizing gonna get a final quote and turn that in, but it's around $8,000 for all of that. And then we'll talk about the reservoir property. There's a resolution in here, but we plan to close potentially by the end of this month for that one.
Okay. So have you guys considered maybe putting a cabinet in there?
Haven't looked at other furniture.
Okay, I'm
But
just
if you
saying,
have
a cabinet that
suggestions,
matches.
recommendations, yeah, I'd love to hear them.
Okay. That's it?
Yep, thank you.
Okay, let's move on to Raymond, I think, yes, your water report.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I'll read out the Colony report. The Colony water production for the month of October was 146.46 million gallons, or 449.41 acre feet. A 22.32 increase from 2023. Year-to-date was 1,569.12 million gallons, or 408.81 acre feet. 9.06 increase from 2023. We have purchased 666.90 acre feet of water from Jordan Valley as of now. Secondary water production of the month of October was 34.01 million gallons, or 104.3 acre feet. 63.25 increase from 2023. Year-to-date was 432.40 million gallons, or 1,327.10 acre feet, a 33.75% increase from 2023. Call-out report, Mr. Chair. Water and wastewater combined, the total number of call-outs 9, total number for water 9, wastewater was 0, total hours paid 33. This service leaks, 3 service leaks, and 6 miscellaneous call-outs. And then I just want to kind of comment at, like, on the operations, like Clint mentioned, we did have finished our UCMR 5. Right now, on water EDR operations, we're in the process of installing our stacks now. We have 2 out of the 8 installed, and as of today, we're installing another one. Been really pushing the secondary meter installations. Both crews, the construction crew as well as the maintenance crew, the EDR. Right now, the water operations are pretty much concentrated on asphalt and concrete before the weather changes, try to tie it up before the end of the year. And that's my call-out report for operations, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so on the asphalt, we gonna have any left over?
Yes, I do remember you did ask for some,
For down
for
the-
down there, and they ran out, so, but I'm still got you on my radar.
Yeah, if you'll just dump them in the holes at the golf course road.
Yeah.
Don't they shut asphalt down before Thanksgiving or about Thanksgiving?
I'm not sure when they should, depending on how the weather's going, is how long they could kick it out a little farther, a couple more weeks, depending if they have the demand for the asphalt.
Do we still get it from West Jordan, or do you?
We get from Morgan down here.
Is that your report?
That's it, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
From the board.
Okay, Dallas?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. On the wastewater treatment side, just a quick regulatory compliance update. Like Clint mentioned, we passed the Q4 biomonitoring, and we've also passed the second set of heavy metal sampling for 2024. And we're really in a great place on our total phosphorus limit, so we've been able to cut back the alum dosing, which would result in some chemical cost savings. And then as the reuse facility comes online, the operators and myself are getting some training on the new equipment. Most recently, the surge tank, the manufacturer provided training for us on that. And then we've gone over some of the new SCADA control with our SKM SCADA contractor. And then on the collection system side, we've moved to kind of the cold weather operations, and What I mean by that specifically is the collections crew is starting their visual manhole inspections. So they'll start on 35th South at 9200 West, and they'll pop each manhole. They'll look at the quality of the grade rings and do a visual inspection of the cone all the way down to the trough. And then we record that each year. We'll work our way northeast until every manhole in the system's been popped. So, and then also, if you remember from the last couple of weeks, we've had a contractor working with our collections crew out on 35th to do some rehab. They finished up that leg of the project. That was rehab and repair on about 1,200 linear feet of sewer pipeline.
I had a question.
Sure.
When you talked about popping manholes, Raymond, do we, because we just walk by and we read the meters, does anybody ever open and see if there's standing water, like there could be a service leak?
No, they don't, they just more because they're electronic read, they just drive.
Yeah, should we do
We
something like that?
usually do
Like a spot
one,
check.
2
Yeah.
inspections a year.
Just once a year or something?
Yeah, we do
I mean,
not
that's a
open
lot
them,
of
but
meters,
we walk by and do a visual on the.
But if it's got
meter.
standing water in it, I guess it would flow out the top if it was a bad
Right, but
day.
it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to do a spot check, like I
you
said,
inspect
just like I
inside
said,
of
when we're doing, just, I'm not saying every one, but maybe every subdivision, just pop one open and then write it down, and then next year when we come around, pop another one, or the next month, pop another one up.
We can do that, just like.
Wish we had some granules you could throw in there that kills the spiders.
Yes.
The staff did do, spot checks on all of the meter when they went through and did the
Yeah, that's-
inspection for
Yes.
the copper roll. And in the next 3 years, they'll have to do that again.
Yeah.
It's have to be randomized, locations. This system really focused in on an area that they found some potential problems, but there'll be another round of those.
Okay.
So that could double up.
All right on.
Yeah, and I forgot, we're doing meter replacements, so
Yeah, as well.
forgot about that.
So, yeah, we got eyes on, so it's kind of.
Okay.
And if a
Sorry,
leak,
Dallas.
if a leak is manifested like on the cold side, we'll see it in our readings. Something on the hot side, it may not with the readings, but we catch things there
I didn't
too.
know that.
They do need a visual inspection.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dallas, it just
that's
reminded me
fine.
about inspecting the water side.
Sure. I think one thing to point out here is we've got it's mandatory for us to pop each one and visualize it each year. And that may not be the case for them, so
Right.
that's the reason
But
we're
they're
doing
doing
it.
meter replacements, I forgot about that.
Right. So that's all I have, Mr. Chair and Board, unless
I
you
got
have
a
any
question for you.
questions.
So on your collection crew, you pretty well know every day where they're at.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Leah, let's go to the controller's report.
Great, thank you, Mr. Chair. So the first item I have is the compliance report. We're continuing to meet compliances, and as everyone knows, there's things every month, every year. So the first one I have highlighted is the annual certification of filing a budget with the state. So now that we've adopted our final budget and accepted it, it'll be due to the state within 30 days. So we'll get that filed to the state. And then the next one is the quarterly budget to actual report that we need to provide to the trustees. That is going to be done today, just right after this. The next one on my list is
Disclosure.
the disclosure regarding responsibility of homeowners to repair to repair retail water lines. It basically says what's their responsibility and what's theirs. We notify them twice a year. We did once in May, and we just did one at the end of October on our billings. So we've met that requirement. And then we're doing our employee performance evaluations now. And unfortunately, Mick was unable to attend the UASD, so you and I need to get together sometime, just,
How about next week?
that's
I was
fine,
gonna
just,
try to do it this week, but
that's fine.
It'll be a
Just call,
short
let me
week,
know.
yeah.
I imagine it's only a couple hours,
couple.
I think.
Couple of,
I can't
Are you talking
remember.
about the board
Couple
member
minutes
training?
or a couple hours?
Well, that should be
Two-
online.
Yes,
Yeah, I just come up here and
he
do it.
comes and does it.
Oh, he comes in
online.
here and does it
He
on-
does it
okay.
for me, so then I'm good. No, just teasing you.
But yeah, just before the end of the year, anytime,
Okay.
just let me know. And then if you don't mind, Mr. Chair, I'll go ahead and go into the quarterly
Go for it.
report. I don't know what's wrong with my computer. Anyway, okay. So as of September 30th, 2024, we have an overall income of $9,729,460. That's showing it to be 1.5 million more than this point in time last year.
Wow.
The majority of that is because we did receive our $4.8 million grant for the reuse.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, the majority of that is our grant money. Our impact fees are down compared to last year, and our connection fees are down compared to last year.
The building slowed down, right?
Yeah. I think they paid a lot of them last year, and now they're just finishing them all out. Our sales are up 685,000. That's due to mainly growth, usage, and our rate increase at the beginning of January.
So can contractors come in and pay their impact fees ahead of time? So in case we have an increase, they can get it at the lower, okay, I thought so, but I wasn't positive.
Yeah. The next pie chart in the financial report is just showing a decrease from January to September. Basically, we're saying that we have paid $3.1 million towards our payables, long-term debt, accounts payable, payroll, and then retainage payable. And that retainage payable is actually showing an increase because we've got the reuse project going on, and we're each pay submittal that they give to us, we withhold 5%. So that's that one. And the next chart is showing what is restricted and non-restricted funds in our cash. I did break it out different this year, or this quarter. So there's a total unrestricted cash of 18 million, but of that, it's the gray portion of the pie chart. It's actually committed. For instance, our property, something that we're planning on spending that money on.
Okay.
The total restricted is 10 million, but out of the 10 million, 5.3 is committed restricted cash, so.
Okay.
The next chart is showing how much money we've spent on our capital improvement project. We've spent 8.5 million on those. Obviously, the biggest one is our reuse project. And we just finished the 2023 repair and replacement water line projects. So those are the two largest on there. And then budget versus actual. So our expenses is the first chart. The expenses are under budget, which is a good place to be at this point in time. They are in some categories a little bit over last year, but as far as budget to actual, we are in a good position. The revenue, just the opposite of that, most of the categories are showing we're higher than what we've budgeted, which is what we like. The impact fees, you can see, are lower than, actually they're higher than what we budgeted, but lower than last year. But we're in a good position when it comes to actual versus budget. I kind of breezed over all that. If you have questions, let me know. And the pages following that is just detail,
Right.
detail. And that is my report, unless you have any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Andrew, let's move on to your HR report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair and Board. Just wanted to highlight a few things. This month's safety focus is cold weather in the workplace. We're highlighting some of the challenges that might be coming up, getting ready for prior to the cold spells, some of the dangers that are going to be associated with that. The other thing, I don't know if you noticed, we've started posting employee-only signs
Yes.
at some of the doors, and we're gonna get some as well for some of our gates, authorized and personnel only. Just better protecting ourselves from First Amendment auditor entering non-public spaces, so that we can keep our employees as well as our customers' information safe. And that's it for me, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's move on to our project awards and agreements. Trevor?
All right. First one there is the West Side Collection Project 1B. We rebid this one. We bid it initially about a year ago, rebid it again. We got 5 bidders this time as opposed to 1 previously, so very successful there. We had basically 2 alternate bids there. One is for a micro tunneling, the other is for pilot tube. And both of those bids include the open trench portion of this, but 2 different methods to get under the freeway. That's why they're split out that way. And this letter is written to recommend that BD Bush be the contractor awarded the project using the pilot tube method.
The what method?
Pilot tube?
That's where they do put a thing through first and then enlarge it from there?
Yeah, it's basically like a progressive tip that directs that under the freeway.
Yeah, if it's one I used, you put on a sleeve and they just keep going bigger, bigger, bigger.
Yeah, is that essentially it?
We have to do a 48-inch diameter
Casing.
to house this 30-inch trunk sewer. The soil is just soft in that area, so the traditional jack and bore method of trenchless just wasn't an option for this location.
Wow, okay.
Yep. So, if you've read through there, you know, it just speaks to the previous bid. This one is actually a little bit less than the previous bid, so in kind of holding off and getting more competition, we were able to get a lower bid price.
Okay.
You know,
We've never
roughly.
done work with this contractor before.
BD Bush has done work in the district.
Have they?
I think Stantec had some experience with them on other projects. I have on, you know, past experience as
Okay.
well, and they've done a good job.
Okay.
And the boring contractor that they have is well-known and does a lot of work and successful.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to award the West Side Collection System Improvement Project 1B to BD Bush in the amount, of $3,487,550.
Been motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, Raymond?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Just going to highlight this 14-inch valve that we're looking at installing, where we didn't find the valve on 84 and 41. What I want to do is go to the, you can bring that up, Trevor. Go into the, as you see on the board, Mr. Chair and board, we're planning on moving the valve to the east.
So I have a
Get it off
question for
UDOT
you.
right away, that way we can have,
This
Oh,
is,
I see.
this is rotated, so north is right side.
Okay,
North
so.
is on the right.
Okay, so, because as I'm looking at that and I'm thinking on the corner, Holiday Oil's going in there
Yeah,
on 41 and
on the
84.
corner, they said.
yep,
Well, it was gonna be Maverick, but they backed out, now it's Holiday. So,
yep, so what we want to do is just move to the, like you say, to the east a little bit and,
I guess
Down
the question
41.
is, are you asking if we could make them put that in?
well, no, I'm
on
just
tap.
saying, when they said where it was gonna go, it's like, okay.
But while we're down, we could put a tap in, I guess.
right now, the problem is we shutting it down. We lose all the water to Little Valley and everywhere, so right now, this is the whole purpose of getting this valve put in, is that way we're not putting anybody out of water.
Okay.
So this
Yeah,
is
we
why
can do
the
a hot
price
tap
is so
for a
high.
gas station.
Live, it will be live and we won't.
Now, do you have to rebid that out, or can you give it to Nolan? Is that who's gonna
No,
do?
this is we'll open trenching ourselves and do the,
Oh, you'll do it yourself?
Oh, you do
no,
the tap?
we won't
they'll
do the
come in
tap
and do it.
ourselves. They'll come in and do the
You'll get it all
tap.
excavated and
Yeah.
everything, they'll do, oh, that saves some money, huh?
Yeah.
Yep, so, yeah, we're responsible for everything, so except they'll come in and install the valve.
The tap, okay.
So now, do we have to notify, because that's a West Valley City road?
Yes, we do have to go through West Valley.
Okay.
Okay. You ready?
Yep, so that's all I have.
Mr.
If you have any
Chairman?
other questions.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the installation of the 14-inch valve to be located approximately 4100 south, 8400 west by Utah Tapmaster in the amount of $46,109.
Second, been motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Trevor?
Okay, third item there is a resolution for the Northrop Grumman property purchase. This is part of is it the title commitment, Nathan? Basically part of the closing for the project. They've requested that we have a resolution to go along with that. Maybe Nathan can just speak real quickly to exactly what it says,
Yeah.
if you don't
so
mind.
Where we are in this process, we had signed a purchase and sale agreement to purchase this property, subject to the district completing a due diligence process, coming back to the board and getting final authorization to complete the purchase. And so this is a situation in which we have about a 2-acre parcel, and we are purchasing an additional 6.16 acres of land that surrounds that parcel from Northrop Grumman. Under our purchase and sale agreement, what we're going to do is do a boundary line adjustment. And so what we're in the process of, we've done the due diligence, we've gotten a title report. The title report came back with several exceptions that we're working through with Northrop Grumman. A lot of this deals with, some of it doesn't apply to the 6.6 or the 6.16 acres we're buying, and so we're working with the title company to clear those out. Some of it will, but it's not going to impact our intended use of the property, which is for a reservoir. And so as part of going through the title process, and I think pursuant to our purchase and sale agreement, the point of this resolution is to say that, one, you guys are prepared to continue with the purchase, and you're authorizing us to execute the boundary line adjustment agreement. There was a template boundary line adjustment that was included in the purchase and sale agreement that you approved before, but now we've fleshed it out with the legal descriptions and the other specifics, and that's included as an exhibit here. I do want to be clear, we're still working through that. We're plotting out and making sure that the legal descriptions are correct. And so what you see here, I think, is 98% of what the final document would be. But if you look at the resolution, if you scroll down to the end, there are going to be some final things that we're going to need to clean up and finalize, and we're working with everybody, the title company, Northrop Grumman, to close by the end of the month. And so, too far.
You're talking to here.
So what I've included here is that we're, if you're okay with this as a board, authorizing Clint as the general manager to take such steps as may be needed to finalize this purchase. And by that I mean, you know, if we have some errors in the legal description, that we can fix that. So if it's a little different from what's included in your packet, we can do that administratively, rather than having to have a special meeting and have you kind of approve all of these specific
Yeah,
formatting.
that's great. Fantastic, okay.
So I just, you know, I think, and I just want to be clear, you know, some of the title things come back. This is an industrial property. Anytime you buy an industrial property, there's a long history with it. I think there are some restrictive covenants that come attached to this, so it's not a property that we could develop residentially, but there is express language that we could do what we are intending to do, which is build a reservoir.
And honestly, guess what? I forgot about this.
Yeah.
That's good. We're making progress. So,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve that, or give the go-ahead on Resolution 2024-06, approving the purchase of the 6.16 acres located at 4554 South U-111 Highway.
And one thing, I'm sorry, that we should probably point out, and Trevor, do we have, because one of the things that we had to do when we were doing the due diligence, we had agreed to purchase the property, I think, was it $14 per acre or something?
Yeah, square foot.
And so we've gotten the final square footage amount, and I think the purchase price is $3,756,614.40. That's in the resolution, but I just want to make sure that on the
You want us to
record-
put that price into the,
Well, it's in the document that you're
Right,
reviewing. We
okay.
just didn't discuss that on the record,
Okay,
so I wanted to
okay.
put that on the record.
Yeah.
Oh,
I want to
okay.
make sure that you're comfortable with that price.
Right.
Trevor, I don't think that we're going to see a change in that price at this
We're not.
point. So that's going to be the final purchase price. So I forgot to mention that, that's why I'm
Oh,
writing it out.
So we don't need to say it, because it's in the resolution.
It's in the
I've
resolution
seen it.
itself, but I did not mention that to you.
So has it gone up or down from what we were originally?
Just what we thought it would be.
Oh, good, okay. Okay, so, Mr. Chairman, so yeah, I'd like to approve, moving ahead on resolution 2024-06, approving the purchase of the 6.16 acres located at 4554 South U-111 Highway in West Valley City from Northrop Grumman.
Second, in motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving right along, okay, administration.
I'll take this one, Mr. Chair. Management team's looking to see if the board supports doing the annual employee recognition gift cards. If you'll remember in the past, we've done Smith's gift cards. I believe last year was $100 per employee. We're just looking for direction if that's something the board wants to do.
You okay with that? We upped it last year, we went from 50 to 100.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the annual employee recognition with the employee gift cards
We want to put do we want a date, I mean,
for $100.
Nathan, do we want to put a number on it?
That might be helpful
Okay.
in terms of direction to the
Okay,
staff.
okay,
yes.
We did
okay,
$100 each gift card.
okay, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Trevor.
All right. So we wrapped up the EDR water treatment plant storage tank alternative analysis. So in this, this kind of came up because when we were coating and repairing our tanks here, we had some issues on the roof of our finished tank. And that kind of spurred the thought of, well, what kind of redundancy do we have here? What, potential issues could come if one of these tanks needs to be taken down? And I mean, kind of one of the big things is if we had to take those tanks offline, then our EDR is not functioning and we're sending water that's untreated into the system, or just relying on our existing storage out here, which only has a certain time frame before it's too low. So we created this analysis, and AE2S is the one who completed it for us. Some things I want to just kind of highlight, which I really thought was great information and kind of background for this whole thing, is I've highlighted some things in here. Kind of section number 2, they've looked at a lot of our existing facilities, what we have out there. They've looked at tank sizing, the existing sizing of both the finish and feed tank. They looked at water quality, our distribution system, and what storage we have out there. Our current operational flexibility. They looked at the hydraulics of our system and our plant. They've also looked at some design criteria. What kind of materials are out there, what is the wind loads, the seismic, the geotechnical. I mean, just going very in depth in looking at everything before kind of narrowing this down to a recommendation. So if I just kind of move through here, one of the things that even stood out to me is they looked at kind of what pipe sizes feed those tanks and what are some things we need to consider in that. If we have 4 tanks out there, say, is a 24-inch pipe to each one. If we're splitting flow, how does that affect it? What are the velocities? Are we getting the mixing that we need? So kind of looking at a lot of different variables here to come up with the recommendation. Some key points on table 3 there. We've kind of talked through a lot of those. I've looked at the pumps, the net positive suction head that they need, which, is based on elevations and things. So they've, like I've said before, went into a lot of detail. Some alternatives on the tanks that they looked at was a swing tank, which would just be a single tank that could be a feed tank when we need it, and then we could switch it to a finished tank if we wanted it to be the finished tank. There are some challenges to that. because of water quality. Finished water is different than feed water, so there's some division of drinking water concerns, some contamination potential and things like that. But that was one of the options that we looked at. There's also having a single tank, but having it be kind of separated physically with the inside. That would be the dual feed and finished blend tank. The operation around this requires quite a bit of, additional piping, valving to kind of configure to be able to switch, or send the water where it needs to go. And it also doesn't fit a lot of our future, potential needs in that now we just have one tank. If we were to, increase our treatment capacity with the new facility,
Does that give us a backup?
this would,
Swing tank?
it would, yes. But it would only kind of serve our now situation and not necessarily the future as well.
Okay.
And then the last would be 2 new tanks in a similar fashion to what we have now. And kind of in the beginning of the report, they looked at the sizing of what we have now and is that efficient? Is that, the best sizing? And the answers did come down to yes, it is. I think we weren't able to find like real clear design criteria on the existing tank sizing, but through their analysis, we were able to identify that the sizing of those 2 tanks does work out quite well for just getting the water in and out, water age, water quality, and those things. So,
So are you, with this report, it's pretty thorough.
it is.
Are you in a position where we could put an estimate together whether, because I see you've got 3 different kinds of tanks there,
Yeah, so,
what the D110 is?
so the D110, 115 are concrete and they're like pre-stressed or post-tension, those different variations.
That's it.
They, in the small sizes, their cost goes sky high. So through the analysis and our criteria and our weighting, we did go through the swing tank, the dual feed, the 2 tanks, and we put some numbers and percent weights to those. And the recommended alternative would be the 2 tanks being welded steel,
Yeah,
similar to what we have.
yeah, because they can x-ray those joints and then we can epoxy coat it and that
Yeah.
will give you a lot of, these up here give you a lot of years of service.
They have, and we know how
How
to,
old are these tanks here? Do we know?
these ones, are they from the 80s?
These are,
Older.
70s.
70s.
They're before my, yeah, I was gonna say, they're before in our era.
yeah,
So
they're,
they've had a pretty good report. I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
it looks to me like the report is favoring a dual tank situation.
The analysis come down to doing 2 tanks, so having them separate,
Do what?
2 separate tanks.
Right.
Yeah.
But
that's
if you
correct.
cut the valving in and stuff, it would be cheaper to do 2 tanks on that tie-in than it would be. It's more expensive for a second tank. But I'm saying, if you're gonna put 1 tank in, to add an additional tank, I think it would be cheaper
Yeah.
than to do it in the future.
Yes, yeah,
add
agreed,
value for
agreed. And that was kind of through the evaluation, part of that process and that thinking. So, yeah, the recommendation is two tanks, 1 finish, 1 feed, the same size that we have out there. And that would be basically like if you imagine the existing facility just mirroring to the north.
Okay.
And then there's some piping and a couple valves that go into that so that the current EDR facility can send water to any of those tanks. We can
The
send,
advantage with 2 tanks is there's no contamination.
there's no contamination. We don't have to do any cleaning if we want to switch them over or anything like that. It's pretty seamless.
Sampling and testing.
Yep, sampling, testing.
What's the timeframe there that we think we need to do this?
So we've got this, we've got clear direction, some good design criteria. We have budgeted for design next year. And then that would lead to construction in '26.
Oh, okay.
But I would say that the driver would be the life of the coating system. We've already
Yeah.
seen some places on the exterior that needed repair. We haven't had a chance to
We haven't dived it.
No, you haven't been into the
have
tanks and
looked
looked yet.
in the interior yet, so we don't know the condition of the interior. We're really, limited, to diving, right?
Yes.
But that's difficult with how much operation, we need these going. We can coordinate that, but if we're moving forward on it anyway, I don't necessarily think that's necessary, but we need to have it before we can coat.
Yes.
Who does the exterior inspection?
The exterior inspection was done last time by Epic, right?
Yes, Epic did the last inspection.
But if you've got something showing up now in the exterior, shouldn't we get that checked out right now? Before, because you want to make sure it's not coming from the inside out, right?
Yes. It's just the challenge of getting it inspected.
Yeah, diving them.
We would still need to shut down.
You would for an exterior?
Potentially.
Well,
Oh,
exterior,
not
no.
exterior.
Yeah,
No,
correct.
exterior.
We have looked
Interior,
at the
Interior.
exterior.
Okay.
Sorry.
if it's on our radar.
So the exterior has been inspected?
Yes.
And repaired.
Yes,
Oh,
inspected, yeah.
Okay. And it's not coming from inside, it's
No.
surface?
It was just surface rust.
It was the
Sorry,
roof.
I
Got the
misunderstood.
coating.
Yeah, it was actually the roof, Trevor was saying, yeah, the roof failed on one of the tanks, so as we had these tanks painted,
I remember that.
we ended up having that added to it.
Yeah, it was extra, okay. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Reliability.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Board.
Okay, so, who wants to talk about the dinner for the Christmas, Andrew?
Yeah, as you can see, we've got an RSVP, invitation sent out, for the dinner on December 13th at 6 p.m. at Little America. We started passing that out earlier this week. We've got pretty good response so far. Looks like most of the wastewater side is coming. We're waiting to hear back from the water side still, and sounds like most of the office is planning on coming as well. So we should have a good turnout.
6 o'clock.
Okay. So then our next board meeting will be December 12th at 10 o'clock here. So we're in need of a closed door meeting.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to take a brief recess and immediately following meet in closed meeting to discuss the character, professional competence, or physical or mental health of an individual, the purchase, exchange, or lease of property, including any form of water right or water shares, pending or reasonably imminent litigation, and collective bargaining purposes pursuant to Utah Code Annual 52-4-204 through 205.
It's been second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. At 11:08.
How come Dan was here today?
So, it's 1:58. A motion to open,
Mr.
open
Chairman,
the
I'd like to
close.
make a motion to close the closed and go into open. I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second? Been motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting at 2 o'clock.
Second, all in favor? Aye.